Animal spirits. Isn't that an interesting name for a book on economics? Well, it is, and the book is even more interesting than the title. The book is written by two academicians, professors, both of whom have individually won the Nobel Prize in Economics, George Akerlof and Robert Shiller. Both are masters of their trade, and they have come together to write this masterpiece. So what is the book about? And for that, the subtitle says, How Human Psychology Drives the Economy and Why It Matters for Global Capitalism. So it actually talks about the role that psychology plays in driving the global economy. Well, actually that's the theme of the whole book. But let's now look at the title, Animal Spirits. What does this phrase animal spirits mean? It is derived from the Latin root, and the medieval period Latin word animal meant of the mind, which is about how we think. But in modern day scenario, if you look at this phrase animal spirits, it refers to our relationship with ambiguity and uncertainty. Now these two phrases, ambiguous and uncertain, have been discussed a lot in last 15 years since the global financial crisis. We seek certainty and we believe that there is safety in certainty. We seek clarity and we are afraid of ambiguity. And still, in spite of that fear, we keep rising up again every single time we bounce back after falling. And that has something else to do. This can't be the typical rational man that economics explains. The classical Adam Smith or John Maynard Keynes definition of a rational man is very different from what this book describes in the role of psychology. The relationship between ambiguity and uncertainty sometimes paralyzes us out of fear, as we just discussed. But at the same time, sometimes it energizes us. It's like when somebody is pushed to the wall, the person would eventually, after a point, will not go back and would try and retaliate or hit back with a vengeance. And these are animal spirits. If we do not understand the role of these animal spirits in shaping the economic events, then it will be a disservice to the subject of economics. And that's a very bold claim by these two authors. The classical economic theory describes a rational man who takes all the decisions in one's own personal interest. This person looks at all possible data, all possible information, and properly weighs risks and returns. And only after that, this person takes decisions. Deviations from this, if any, are minor. There are 5 core psychological phenomena which explain this entire topic called animal spirits. First of all, confidence. Are we confident about something, or we lack confidence in something? If we are confident about the other person, we would engage in a trade. If we are not, then we will stay away from getting into any business arrangement with the other person. Now think about a large institutional framework called government. If I don't trust my government, if I don't have confidence in the government, how would I behave? Will I ever be rational? Look at another institutional framework called the banking system. What if the bank loses confidence in the industry? Will the bank lend money to the industry in spite of all the books of accounts, all the business plans, business models? If the banks do not have confidence, the lending would stop. The second is the idea of fairness. The book refers to a fantastic experiment that somebody had conducted. And it said that in a game, when people are supposed to behave in a particular manner, there were payoffs. So they tweaked the game. So there were payoffs. If you act in a fair manner, then everybody gains. But if you deviate from that and if you act in a selfish manner, you alone gain. Your profit actually go up compared to the fair behavior. And the group as a whole loses out. And obviously, a lot of people started behaving in a selfish manner. But then the experiment was modified by introducing another element where the other participants can punish those who have acted in a selfish manner. The interesting part was, even when those players had to pay something to punish those, lose something to punish those who were selfish, they actually were happy in imparting that punishment. All of us have a sense of fairness, and that sense of fairness makes us happy. If the other person is acting in an unfair manner, we don't like it. It also describes the relationship between a buyer who's small and a seller who's large. If the large seller appears to be acting in a selfish manner or unfair manner, we may go to whatever length to see that this person is booked, this person is penalized. That's the sense of fairness. And this fairness cannot be quantified. It goes beyond the risk reward, because as the game suggested, I am happy to lose money to ensure that somebody else is penalized. The third is the so-called corrupt or antisocial behavior by some of the elements that also is unjustified. Why would somebody do that when the legal system exists, when the penalties exist? The cost of those is too high, and still people engage in corrupt behavior. People still do antisocial activities. Difficult to explain through classical economics. In reality, this exists. The frauds happen precisely because of this, that some people don't mind crossing that line. The fourth is money illusion. This money illusion is a very interesting thing. It's the relationship between normal prices and inflation. So when inflation is high, as an employee, I would want my salary to go up. But when the inflation is low, I should be happy with a lower raise also. It doesn't work that way. If I want a raise, even when the economy is going down, I would expect a raise, because I am not comparing real rupee to real rupee. I am only comparing my previous nominal amount to the next nominal payment. These things also come out in investments and loans. When interest rates change, I don't consider that I am supposed to repay capital plus interest. I'll only say my payout is lower compared to what it was earlier. There's an illusion called money, difficult concept for many people to understand. And the final one is even more interesting. It's about our sense of reality. Not the reality, our sense of reality. And our sense of reality is driven largely by various stories that we believe to be true. And those stories are based on our own experiences. It's a very interesting book. It explains that animal spirits exist. The book does not conclude with saying what should be done about it. But at least it has started a discussion, a dialogue that there is something beyond rational economic men. So why we chose this book, and I'll look at three of these psychological phenomena that we discussed and try to link it to current times. Number one, confidence. We've just seen a banking crisis unfolding in the United States. In such a scenario, it is natural for people to lose confidence in the banking system. And it is also natural at such times for the central banks and the governments to act in a manner to restore the confidence. And historically, in many cases, we've seen that the government acts, somebody is booked. Sometimes it may look like a symbolic gesture, but the moment somebody is booked, that gets linked to the idea of fairness. A wrongdoer was penalized. Now the matter is resolved. So first is confidence, second is fairness. In any crisis, at the end of the crisis, if the government does not catch someone or an institution is not penalized, people's idea of fairness is not taken care of. And of course, the third one is the stories that we tell ourselves. And as we just saw, those stories are based on our experience. So if I have lost money in the banking crisis, I am likely to behave in a far more conservative manner. But for some reason, I got away, I got lucky, or I feel that I was smarter, I am likely to take more risks in future. The reality may be exactly similar for two different people, but if the prior experience is different, they would look at that reality with two different lenses. And when those things happen, overall, cumulatively, the economy goes through a lot of turbulence and ups and downs. Now imagine a scenario where suddenly the stories of a lot of people point to the same reality, perceived reality. And in that case, suddenly the economy may see a boom phase or vice versa. Suddenly the economy will get into a recession. It's all about how we see the reality and what kind of stories that we tell us. Classical book, worth a read. The only negative that I would say is not an easy book to read. But once you read such books, it's highly likely that you can become better investors. Thank you so much.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.